Welcome to a captivating voyage through the realms of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, a literary treasure trove that shines a spotlight on the rich and vibrant era that followed the Jacobean period. In this enchanting audiobook, we'll delve deep into the poetic tapestries woven during the time of King Charles I of England, exploring the nuances, themes, and artistic expressions that defined this era. Caroline poetry emerged as a response to the shifting cultural and political landscape of the mid-17th century. The reign of Charles I brought with it a unique blend of elegance, indulgence, and intellectual curiosity. This era, often referred to as the Caroline period, saw the rise of a group of poets known as the Cavalier poets. These poets, characterized by their loyalty to the royal court and their rejection of Puritan ideals, crafted verses that celebrated love, beauty, chivalry, and the pleasures of life. Through the verses of poets like Robert Herrick, Thomas Carlyle, and Richard Lovelace, we'll explore the intricate dance of wit and romance that defined Cavalier poetry. Their verses encapsulate the spirit of an era marked by its exuberance, its embrace of courtly ideals, and its unique response to the tumultuous events that would shape England's history. As we journey through this audiobook, we invite you to subscribe to our channel, English Poetry. By subscribing, you become part of a community of poetry enthusiasts who share a passion for the beauty of language, the power of expression, and the exploration of literary history. Our channel is a haven for those who seek to uncover the hidden gems of poetic tradition, to traverse the corridors of time through verse, and to be inspired by the voices of the past that continue to resonate today. By subscribing, you gain access to a curated collection of audiobooks that traverse eras, genres, and themes, all brought to life through the enchanting medium of spoken word. Whether you are a dedicated lover of poetry or someone embarking on a new journey of literary discovery, English poetry offers you a portal to a world of emotion, imagination, and human experience. So, as we embark on this exploration of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, we extend an invitation to you to join us in uncovering the beauty, wit, and elegance of an era that has left an indelible mark on English literature. Subscribe to English Poetry and join us on this poetic odyssey. Thank you for being a part of our community, and we're excited to have you with us as we traverse the poetic landscapes of history. Caroline or Cavalier poetry, a distinctive literary movement that flourished during the mid-17th century in England, serves as a fascinating and vibrant chapter in the evolution of English literature. This poetic tradition emerged in the context of the reign of King Charles I, a period marked by political turbulence, artistic innovation, and a unique blend of courtly elegance and intellectual curiosity. The term, Cavalier poets, refers to a group of writers who aligned themselves with the royalist cause and the values of the monarchy, setting them apart from the parliamentarian and Puritan ideologies that gained prominence during the English Civil War. These poets, including Robert Herrick, Thomas Carlyle, Richard Lovelace, and Sir John Suckling, embraced themes that celebrated the joys of life, love, and loyalty to the king. They offered a counterpoint to the Puritan austerity and embraced a spirit of wit, sensuality, and Cavalier charm. Central to Cavalier poetry is the concept of carpe diem, which translates to seize the day. Poets of this movement embraced a hedonistic attitude, urging readers to embrace life's pleasures and beauty while they still can. Robert Herrick's To the Virgins, to make much of time, and Andrew Marvell's To his coy mistress, exemplify this theme, encouraging the pursuit of love and enjoyment in the face of life's transience. The poetic style of the Cavalier poets is characterized by its graceful elegance, lyricism, and skillful use of meter and rhyme. These poets often drew inspiration from classical sources and courtly traditions, crafting verses that embodied sophistication and charm. The influence of French poetry and the Petrarchan sonnet tradition can also be observed in their works. While the Cavaliers celebrated love and beauty, they also engaged with the political and social realities of their time. Richard Lovelace's To Althea, from Prison, and To Lucasta, Going to the Wars, reflect the tensions between loyalty to the king and the call of duty. Their poems often convey a sense of longing, romanticism, and a certain melancholy for an era that was rapidly changing. Cavalier poetry isn't solely focused on romantic love, it also celebrates the pleasures of friendship, camaraderie, and the simple joys of life. Thomas Carlyle's To My Friend G, and Robert Herrick's Upon Julia's Clothes, exemplify this facet of the tradition, capturing moments of camaraderie and appreciation for the everyday experiences that bring happiness. This poetic movement, however, wasn't without its critics. The Puritan influence that dominated the latter part of the 17th century criticized Cavalier poetry for its perceived excesses, frivolity, and perceived lack of moral seriousness. Yet, the Cavaliers' commitment to the values of loyalty, honor, and embracing the richness of human experience resonates with readers to this day. Diving deeper into the realms of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, we uncover additional layers that contribute to the distinctiveness and richness of this poetic movement. One significant aspect of Cavalier poetry is its connection to the courtly culture and the royal court of King Charles I. The poets of this era often hailed from aristocratic backgrounds and had personal ties to the court, which influenced their perspectives and poetic themes. This association with the court allowed them to reflect the opulence, etiquette, and elegance of the royal milieu within their verses. The theme of loyalty and honor takes center stage in many Cavalier poems. The loyalty to the king and the ideal of chivalry formed a fundamental part of their poetic ethos. Poets like Richard Lovelace expressed unwavering devotion to the monarch and used their verses to rally support for the royalist cause during a time of political upheaval. The poetic genre of Cavalier lyric emerged as a defining form of expression within this movement. These lyrics often included short poems, sonnets, and songs characterized by their musicality and emotional depth. They were designed to be set to music, adding a melodic dimension to their enchanting verses. A distinctive trait of Cavalier poetry is its fusion of wit and sensuality. The poets skillfully combined playful and humorous elements with expressions of desire and passion. This merging of intellectual wit with emotional fervor resulted in verses that resonated with readers on multiple levels. The Cavaliers engaged in a poetic tradition known as the masque or masque. These elaborate performances combined poetry, music, dance, and visual effects, often celebrating special occasions or courtly events. The masques were a captivating fusion of art forms that showcased the poet's creativity and contributed to the overall cultural landscape of the time. The influence of French poetry, particularly the works of the French poet François de Malherbe, left a lasting mark on Cavalier poetry. The French style's focus on elegance, balance, and refined expression inspired the poets to craft verses that embraced a sense of artistic finesse and courtly sophistication. Cavalier poetry extended beyond the realm of love and beauty to engage with religious themes. Some poets, like George Herbert, explored spiritual contemplations and divine devotion within the context of the era's shifting religious dynamics. The Cavaliers were not confined to a single theme or style. Their poetry was marked by diversity and experimentation. They embraced themes of war, politics, nature, and introspection, showcasing a multifaceted approach to poetic expression. In conclusion, Caroline or Cavalier poetry transcends its label as a mere poetic movement. It stands as a vibrant reflection of an era marked by cultural nuances, political loyalties, and artistic brilliance. The Cavaliers' ability to seamlessly blend wit, elegance, and heartfelt emotions within their verses offers a glimpse into the complexities of a transformative period in English history. Through their words, we are transported to a world of refinement, loyalty, and an unwavering celebration of life's experiences. The theme of paradox emerges as a hallmark of Cavalier poetry. Poets often employed paradoxical expressions to capture the complexity of human emotions and experiences. This use of apparent contradictions lent depth and intellectual resonance to their verses. Cavalier poets were not confined by traditional boundaries, they embraced experimentation in form and style. Poets like George Herbert and Richard Crashaw ventured into metaphysical territory, weaving intricate metaphors and engaging in theological contemplations that mirrored the larger metaphysical poetry movement. The Cavaliers' engagement with the concept of honor extended beyond loyalty to the king. Honor was intricately tied to personal integrity, chivalry, and reputation. Poets crafted verses that explored the nuances of honor, often intertwining it with themes of love and valor. The influence of Neo-Stoicism is evident in some Cavalier poetry. Poets like Thomas Carlyle drew from Stoic philosophy, advocating for emotional restraint, resilience, and the mastery of one's feelings in the face of life's challenges. Cavalier poetry often celebrates urbanity, capturing the refined and cosmopolitan atmosphere of the court and city life. The poets painted vivid portraits of sophisticated cityscapes, offering glimpses into the social interactions, cultural vibrancy, and intellectual pursuits of the era. The Cavaliers were not limited to English soil, their poetry showcased a cosmopolitan outlook. Poets like Abraham Cowley were influenced by European literary traditions, leading to the incorporation of diverse cultural elements and references within their verses. The theme of restoration resonates through some Cavalier works. Poets, such as Sir John Denham, expressed hope for the restoration of monarchy and stability after the turmoil of the Civil War in the interregnum. The Cavaliers' exploration of Epicurean sensibility celebrated the pleasures of the senses and the enjoyment of life's finer things. This theme intersected with their carpe diem philosophy, encouraging readers to embrace sensory experiences while they could. The Cavaliers' contributions to the literary legacy extended beyond their own era. Their influence can be seen in later poetic traditions, including the Augustan Age and even Romanticism, where certain themes and stylistic elements were revisited and reinterpreted. The Cavaliers' engagement with humanism is noteworthy. They drew inspiration from classical literature, echoing the humanist ideals of education, virtue, and the exploration of the human experience. This connection to classical thought enriched their poetry with timeless themes and a sense of intellectual heritage. The theme of wit takes on multifaceted forms in Cavalier poetry. Wit is not merely confined to clever wordplay, it encompasses a range of intellectual playfulness, from puns and metaphysical conceits to intricate metaphors and elaborate allegories. Cavalier poets often explored the notion of transience, the fleeting nature of life and experiences. This theme echoed the broader cultural awareness of impermanence in an era marked by political instability and social change. A unique aspect of Cavalier poetry lies in its relationship with the visual arts. The poets often used vivid and detailed visual imagery, drawing parallels between the skills of painters and poets. This heightened attention to visual description created a rich tapestry of sensory experiences within their verses. The Cavaliers embraced the ode as a significant poetic form. These lyrical compositions allowed poets like Thomas Carlyle and Richard Lovelace to express their emotions, observations, and reflections with a heightened sense of elegance and musicality. Cavalier poetry, while often associated with courtly ideals, also engaged with themes of dissolution and decay. Some poets, like Robert Herrick, confronted the realities of mortality and the passage of time, offering a balanced view of life's fleeting nature. An intriguing facet of this tradition is the exploration of self-fashioning. Poets projected carefully constructed personas within their verses, showcasing different facets of their identities and expressing a dynamic range of emotions and attitudes. The Cavaliers' engagement with nature extended beyond mere description. Poets like Robert Herrick infused natural imagery with symbolic and allegorical meanings, using nature as a reflection of human emotions and experiences. Cavalier poetry played a role in shaping literary dialogues. Poets engaged in conversations with each other through their verses, responding to one another's works, critiquing ideas, and contributing to a collective literary discourse. The theme of parliamentary satire is evident in some Cavalier verses. Poets like Andrew Marvell used satire to critique the political establishment, reflecting the tensions and controversies of the era. In the intricate tapestry of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, each thread represents a unique perspective, an innovative approach, and a reflection of the multifaceted cultural and artistic landscape of the time. The Cavaliers' ability to navigate the complexities of life, love, politics, and artistry continues to captivate readers, inviting us to unravel the layers of their verses and discover new insights into the vibrant world they inhabited. The Cavaliers' exploration of gender dynamics adds another dimension to their poetry. While their verses often celebrated ideals of love and beauty, they also reflect the societal norms and expectations that shape gender roles and relationships during their time. The theme of political allegory finds expression in some Cavalier works. Poets, such as Edmund Waller, employed allegorical narratives to address political issues indirectly, using characters and situations to comment on the broader political landscape. Cavalier poets engaged in persona poetry, adopting different voices and perspectives within their verses. This allowed them to explore diverse emotions, viewpoints, and even social commentary through the lens of fictional characters. The Cavaliers were not confined to a single geographic location, their influence spread beyond England's borders. Some poets, like Richard Crashaw, ventured to the European continent, and their interactions with European literary and artistic traditions left a mark on their poetry. The theme of music holds a significant place in Cavalier poetry. The lyrical quality of their verses often made them well suited to musical adaptation, and the relationship between music and poetry was celebrated through references to musical instruments, melodies, and rhythms. The Cavaliers' engagement with patronage extended beyond the court. While royal patronage was significant, many poets relied on the support of wealthy patrons to sustain their artistic pursuits, giving rise to dedicatory verses and expressions of gratitude. The concept of sensory experience is central to Cavalier poetry. Poets employed vivid sensory descriptions that engaged the reader's senses, immersing them in a multisensory world of emotions, colors, textures, and sounds. Cavalier poets often navigated the theme of nostalgia for a lost age. They look back to a past era of chivalry and courtly ideals, longing for a return to a time of stability, order, and values that seem to be slipping away. The Cavaliers' embrace of metaphysical conceits adds depth to their poetry. While less intricate than the metaphysical poets who followed, the Cavaliers utilized these conceits to create imaginative comparisons that explored the connection between disparate ideas. The theme of national identity is intertwined with the Cavaliers' works. In a period marked by political and social upheaval, poets like Sir John Denham sought to capture the essence of Englishness and the importance of preserving national heritage. In the vibrant tapestry of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, each stanza, each metaphor, and each sentiment reflects a unique perspective on a world in flux. The Cavaliers' ability to encapsulate the complexities of life, love, politics, and aesthetics within their verses invites us to unravel the layers of their creative expressions, revealing new insights and connections that resonate across time. The Cavaliers' engagement with historical consciousness is noteworthy. Their poetry often contained references to historical events, figures, and legends, weaving connections between past and present and imbuing their verses with a sense of historical awareness. The theme of urban culture is reflected in some Cavalier poems. These poets captured the vibrant atmosphere of the city, depicting the bustling streets, social interactions, and the collision of diverse perspectives within the urban environment. The Cavaliers' engagement with courtly rituals adds a layer of cultural insight. Poets depicted the elaborate ceremonies, dances, and rituals of the royal court, offering readers a glimpse into the world of etiquette, hierarchy, and ceremony that defined court life. The theme of ambiguity finds expression in some Cavalier verses. Poets often crafted lines that carried multiple meanings or left room for interpretation, inviting readers to engage in deeper contemplation and exploration of the poetic text. Cavalier poets frequently engaged with the concept of wit as a form of social interaction. Their verses were often vehicles for witty banter, verbal dueling, and intellectual repartee, reflecting the social norms of their time. The theme of courtly love takes on complex forms in Cavalier poetry. While these poets celebrated love and beauty, they also acknowledged the conventions and constraints of courtly love, often exploring the tension between desire and social expectations. Cavalier poetry was not limited to male voices, female poets also made their mark. Figures like Catherine Phillips, known as the matchless Arunda, contributed to this tradition, addressing themes of friendship, love, and intellectual pursuits from a distinctly female perspective. The concept of visual representation is evident in the visual quality of many Cavalier poems. Poets used vivid and detailed descriptions to create mental images, fostering a sense of immersion and engagement with their verses. Cavalier poets were not solely concerned with the present, they also engaged with the prospect of the future. Poets like Abraham Cowley contemplated the legacy they would leave behind, exploring the idea of literary immortality and the enduring impact of their words. The theme of wit and war intersects in some Cavalier verses. Poets, including Richard Lovelace, addressed themes of loyalty, honor, and courage on the battlefield, capturing the sense of adventure and danger that accompanied the Cavalier spirit. In the tapestry of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, each thread weaves a unique narrative of an era characterized by its complexities, contradictions, and dynamic cultural interactions. The Cavaliers' poetic expressions continue to resonate across time, inviting us to immerse ourselves in their world and discover the myriad ways they captured the essence of their time through the prism of their artistry. The Cavaliers' engagement with travel and exploration adds another layer to their poetry. The age of exploration and colonial expansion influenced their perspectives, with some poets drawing inspiration from far-off lands and adventures to enrich their verses. The theme of anacreontic poetry is significant within the Cavalier tradition. This style, inspired by the Greek poet Anacreon, celebrates pleasure, merriment, and conviviality, reflecting the Cavaliers' embrace of the joys of life. Cavalier poets often embraced the gentlemanly ideal in their verses. This encompassed qualities of chivalry, honor, and a sense of duty that was rooted in the noble ideals of the time. The theme of private and public selves emerges as a contemplative thread in some Cavalier poetry. Poets like Robert Herrick explored the dichotomy between one's inner thoughts and feelings and the external persona projected to the world. Cavalier poetry's engagement with symbolism and allegory offers another layer of depth. These poets frequently used symbolic elements and allegorical figures to convey deeper meanings and explore philosophical concepts within their verses. The theme of chivalric values resonates within Cavalier poetry. The poets often celebrated values such as loyalty, bravery, and honor associated with chivalry, reflecting their admiration for the romanticized ideals of the past. Cavalier poets' interest in theater and drama is evident in their incorporation of dramatic elements within their verses. Their familiarity with the theatrical world influenced their use of dialogue, characterization, and dramatic monologues. The theme of anxiety and uncertainty surfaces in some Cavalier works. Poets grappled with the uncertainties of their time, including political upheaval and societal change, reflecting a sense of unease that pervaded their era. Cavalier poetry's exploration of elegy is worth noting. These poets often wrote elegiac verses mourning the loss of loved ones, reflecting the human experience of grief and the impermanence of life. The theme of court patronage takes on new dimensions in the context of the Cavaliers' relationship with their patrons. Poets often addressed their patrons directly in their verses, expressing gratitude and seeking continued support. In the intricate tapestry of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, each layer, each theme, and each poetic technique adds a brushstroke to the vivid portrait of an era marked by its complexities, aspirations, and contradictions. The Cavaliers' ability to capture the essence of their time through their diverse and multilayered expressions continues to inspire, inviting us to delve deeper into the nuances of their creative legacy. The theme of parody and satire emerges in some Cavalier verses. Poets employed parody and satire to critique literary conventions, political figures, and social norms, showcasing their keen wit and ability to engage in playful commentary. Cavalier poets often engaged with mythology and classical allusions. Drawing from the rich tapestry of Greek and Roman mythology, they incorporated these allusions to enrich their verses with layers of meaning and cultural references. The theme of religion and spirituality takes on nuanced forms in Cavalier poetry. Some poets, such as Henry Vaughan, explored spiritual themes within the context of their faith, contemplating divine mysteries and the relationship between the mortal and the divine. Cavalier poets' exploration of secrets and hidden truths adds an air of mystery to their poetry. They often hinted at deeper meanings, leaving space for readers to unravel hidden messages and explore the depths of their verses. The theme of personal identity is woven into the fabric of Cavalier poetry. Poets grappled with questions of self-discovery, exploring their individuality, desires, and aspirations through their verses. Cavalier poetry's engagement with nature's elements offers a vivid sensory experience. Poets often used natural imagery such as fire, water, earth, and air to convey emotions, symbolism, and metaphors within their works. The theme of courtly masks and entertainments showcases the Cavaliers' involvement in elaborate court performances. These poets often contributed to the creation of masks and entertainments that combined poetry, music, dance, and visual spectacle. Cavalier poets were not isolated entities, they engaged with literary circles and networks. These poets formed social and artistic connections, influencing one another's works, sharing ideas, and collaborating on various literary projects. The theme of rejection of Puritan ideals played a significant role in shaping the Cavaliers' literary expressions. They rejected the austere and moralistic values of Puritanism, embracing a more celebratory and hedonistic approach to life and art. Cavalier poetry's engagement with wit and metaphysics is an intriguing intersection. While not as overtly metaphysical as later poets, the Cavaliers explored philosophical questions and intellectual complexities through their use of wit and clever wordplay. In the vibrant tapestry of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, each thread weaves a distinct narrative that offers insight into the multifaceted world of the poets who shaped this era. Their ability to capture a wide range of themes, styles, and perspectives within their verses invites us to embark on a continuous exploration of their creative legacy. As we draw the curtains on our immersive journey through the enchanting world of Caroline or Cavalier poetry, we find ourselves enriched by the multifaceted tapestry of themes, emotions, and artistic expressions that define this poetic tradition. The Cavaliers, with their wit, elegance, and exploration of the human experience, have left an indelible mark on the landscape of English literature. We've navigated through the layers of courtly ideals, chivalry, love, loyalty, and the dynamic cultural landscape of the 17th century. Each stanza, each line, and each metaphor has provided us with a glimpse into a world that danced on the edge of history, inviting us to explore the complexities and nuances of the era through their poetic lens. To continue this voyage of literary exploration and to be a part of a community that cherishes the beauty of language and the power of human expression, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, English Poetry. By subscribing, you become a valued member of a community that celebrates the written word, from the rich heritage of Caroline or Cavalier poetry to the diverse tapestry of poetic traditions spanning eras and cultures. With your subscription, you'll gain access to a treasure trove of audiobooks that traverse the landscapes of literature, inviting you to immerse yourself in the enchanting world of verse. Join us as we journey through time, unraveling the layers of emotion, thought, and imagination that poets have woven into their works. Thank you for accompanying us on this poetic odyssey. Your support and engagement fuel our passion for sharing the magic of English poetry. Don't miss out on our future explorations. Subscribe to English Poetry, and together, let's continue to celebrate the power and beauty of language.